Good day, everybody. This is JD again. Today, as you notice, I have covered so far 2 amendments in the Bill of Rights. I said I was going to go through all of them. Now I'm coming to what I feel personally is the 3rd most important amendment in the Bill of Rights. I feel it is the most abused amendment in the Bill of Rights, and I feel that our Congress, since the Civil War, has done everything to destroy this amendment. To me, I feel that our federal government has no comprehension of this amendment. And I'm going to read it to you. It starts off with, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. That is the 10th Amendment. Actually, very few of you really know what the Civil War is about. Most of you will say right off the bat, slavery, slavery, slavery. And that's because the North won the war. South won the war, it would have been about the rights of the states to govern themselves. Vice the federal government constantly interfering. Since the North won, they wrote history. And, of course, they wrote it because the North had to lie about what it was about, because if they would have said it was about the rights of the states to govern themselves, who would join the militaries? But slavery was a noble cause, even though every state in the Confederation had already on their books laws abolishing slavery and freeing all people as an equal, full citizen. And it would have been done before the Civil War ended. Check each state out. You don't have to take my word. It is in their historical records. Now, why do I feel that's the 3rd most important? Is because it is being the most abused by the federal government of all the amendments. They're trying on this freedom of speech, and they're trying on guns, but they totally abuse the 10th Amendment. It's like none of yous care. And I'll ask each and every one of you, why do each one of your states have a Senate or a Congress? Why are you paying them all that money? That is to govern and regulate your state. The federal government should put up guidelines. Yes, I agree. But the states should and need to run their internal affairs. This country must understand that each and every state is different. The conditions, for example, in the state of Connecticut is totally different than Colorado, is totally different than Alaska, is totally different than Hawaii, though maybe similar to Rhode Island and Massachusetts and part of New York. So how could people from Connecticut tell the people in Colorado, Alaska, Hawaii, Texas, how to run their state? What kind of laws that state needs to enforce? Heck, the federal government can't even do its own job and secure the borders. Our federal government is too busy trying to control and run everything, each and every state and the world. And in the process, the American people end up the losers each and every time. So, how do I feel about state rights? They need to be given back to the states. Congress needs to start realizing and relinquishing and understand their bills that they pass should be recommendations to the states as to what and how to do. Yes, they will have laws that govern interstate and equality between each state. For example, education is designed so that a citizen can go anywhere throughout this country and be able to pursue the rights and privileges and happiness, no matter what part of the country. That's why we have a common language. That's why we have a common education system that should set standards common from one end of the country to the other end, from the north to the south, from the east to the west, and any place else. They should set the guidelines and ensure the guidelines are kept, but the states should be doing the governing That's why they have Congress. That's why they have senators. Plain and simple, the Constitution was there to restrict the federal government from going into the household. To do that, it must first stomple and trample and stamp into the mud each and every state's government, each and every state's Congress and Senate. This must be turned around. You all must understand, you as American citizens belong into your community, and the states you live in have an obligation to you to properly govern the area as you, the people, want, not the federal government. And they should be allowed to, as long as whatever laws they do not contradict the Constitution. That is it. No more or less. I'm sorry. I guess this is going to be a short video because really that's what I got to say. I feel that the 10th Amendment is probably the most abused amendment by our federal government. Congress has no concern about the individuals or the states and their governments. I feel that each state needs to stand up for their rights, and each of you need to help me to turn this country around and start having the states exercise the authority that was guaranteed them by the 10th Amendment in the Constitution of the United States, in the Bill of Rights. It almost seems like the first and last amendment in the Bill of Rights, which is the First Amendment and the 10th Amendment, are really the most important amendment in protecting you from a maximum controlling federal government. Yet, the 10th Amendment is being abused daily by the federal government, and there is nobody standing up yelling. It's our right. And that happens because of the Civil War, which is where we started going down this path. Not Jimmy Carter, not Clinton, not Ford or any of them, or Kennedy. The Civil War turned this country towards this path. It's only just an accumulative of everything upon each other. And it's now to say, stop! It's time to go back to the path of our forefathers. Return to the founding ideals of our Constitution. And the 10th Amendment needs to be believed in, supported, and each state needs to exercise its authority. That's where I stand on the 10th Amendment and state rights. That's how I feel. Anyone who tells you otherwise is just a liar. I have felt that since, since I studied the Civil War and found out what it was really about. And that was when I was in high school. I found out it was all about state rights, and that each state had, Southern state already had in their constitution, in their states, legislation that ended the Civil War. And all legislation to end the Civil War would have been done before 1865. I just don't remember what date it was. So slavery would have ended in the South before the end of the Civil War. It was not about slavery at all. It was about the right of states to govern themselves. And now we need to reverse that trend and get it back to where the founding fathers thought it ought to be. That is state rights. That's what state rights are about. And that's what I'm going to stand for. The 10th Amendment, as far as I'm concerned, is the third most important amendment, if not the second, behind the first. I'm not sure whether guns rights or the state rights, but both of them are very close together. And the federal government wishes to destroy all of them, not just the first, not just the second, which they're working very hard, but the 10th, which they have done greatly. And I totally disagree. It's we the people, for the people. The Constitutionist Party, the Constitutionists, the Constitution. That's what I'm about, and nothing more. And I cannot be bought, which others have found out. Thank you. Have a nice day.